Hey guys, and welcome to another show and tell video. First, we have some business to take care of, and that is to give away these 4 puzzles. Now, in our last video, I mentioned that we're going to give away these puzzles and send us your name if you want to be part of the raffle. And I have to tell you, I've never been so overwhelmed with a response. We had hundreds of people who wanted puzzles. And we're only giving away 4 of them. But the good news is we are going to make them available for sale on our website. Because we were overwhelmed, we had to go and order a bunch more. So I ordered 100 puzzles. We are going to put them on our website. I'll show you that in a minute. So that you can buy one if you don't win the raffle. But first, our lucky winners. And again, this is the puzzle. And we randomly chose 4 names. First of all, Albert R., Vince A., Brian N., and Randy B. Now, we're not giving your last names out over the airwaves because people will show up at your door wanting to help you put together this puzzle because it is so cool. Now, if you didn't win and you'd like to buy one, we actually set up a whole new website, and you can see the link, but I have it up here. We have our regular website, legacy-collectibles.com, but we're not allowed to send you there. We can't do links because it has forbidden items on it. So we set up a whole new website, which is legacyyoutube.com, legacyyoutube.com. And when I go there, you can go to the YouTube store. And when you click that, we have our stands. There's a cleaning kit. We have our dehumidifiers that many of you are familiar with. And we also are going to be adding the puzzles. Oh, that's a glass that you could buy. So basically, non-forbidden items will be on this website, including these puzzles. Actually, here's a picture of the link right now. If you want to buy a puzzle, you can go there. Sorry for the cheap advertising, but I literally had hundreds of people from all over the United States, all over Europe, New Zealand, Australia, all over the world who wanted to buy these puzzles. So we're thrilled to offer them to you through our new website, legacyyoutube.com. And again, no forbidden items on that website. So the whole purpose of the show and tell video is to show you what came in this week. And for this week, first and foremost, I wanted to show you this. Now, please don't tell me stolen honor. I apologize for wearing this, but this came in, family member brought it in. I believe it's Vietnam era. And actually, that is my era. I grew up, I was in high school in the 70s and could have been drafted, but I got a college deferment. Always thought about going into the armed forces, but life got in the way, and I never did join up. But without stealing anybody else's valor, this is from somebody named Campbell. Again, a family member brought it in. It's a very cool jacket. You can see paratrooper, marksmanship, we see special forces, and you can tell me about some of these other badges. We got a bar here, and there's his airborne patch. Really cool airborne jacket. Not sure what I'm going to do with it, but if you have interest, let us know. We need to figure out a price on this. I know the World War II ones go for a lot of money, these substantially less, but I'm going to take it off now because Campbell was a smoker. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is this silver box. Now, I already showed you this. Actually, it was well before Christmas that this came in. I said, I'm not sure what it is. I want to hear from all of you. I did hear from a lot of you, but most importantly, I heard from a guy named John Lawson. Now, he's actually one of the organizers and the leadership team of the Allentown Gun Show, which I've been going to for the last 15 years. And we put it on Gunbroker for $1. Here you can see the listing, and to my surprise, it went for quite a bit more than I expected. But that's mostly because John did some research, and I wanted to pass it on to you because it's really, really cool. So this silver case was actually the personal property of Major Friedrich Moraki. You can see that right here. Who was actually in the Luftwaffe. Let me tell you a bit about it. This is dated March of 39. Not sure if you can hone in on that, but March of 39. It has signatures of some of his comrades. But let me tell you a little bit about Major Morika, first name Friedrich. He was actually born in the Sudetenland area of the Austrian-Hungary Empire. Now, Sudetenland became pretty famous during World War II because there's a lot of Germans living in that area, people of German descent. living in the western part of Czechoslovakia. So he was born in that area of Czechoslovakia. At that time, it was part of the Austria-Hungary Empire, as I already said. But then after World War I, that area was carved out and given to Czechoslovakia. But between the wars, Friedrich decided to join the German army. That was during the Weimar period, which not a lot of people were joining the army because the army had been decimated. They couldn't get any weapons, no tanks, no armored vehicles, and especially no Luftwaffe. So he joined the army, and he evidently showed interest in the Luftwaffe because what they did is he went to a secret base in Russia. Now, I'm not sure how that happened. I know Russia and Germany were allies at the time, but I find it difficult to imagine that they allowed them to have secret training bases in Russia. But that's what the history says. There was a secret training base in Russia. He went there to be trained on how to fly. And you can see a picture of him here. He actually became a Luftwaffe pilot, and you can see his pilot observer's badge on his tunic. He also went to Italy for some training, and he went to a lot of other trainings up until about 1939 when he achieved the rank of major. I believe he started his training in about 1933, and when we open this up, we can see some of the different flight schools that he attended because I wasn't sure of the meaning. These are obviously shot glasses. You won't be able to see all of them, but this is from a flight training school in 1935. Shot glass. These glasses are all from programs that he attended. I'm told this is Halle, which was a training school. Halle, doesn't look like it to me, but John, who did the research, said this came from the Halle training that he attended. Also, here's another flight school, 1935, where he got navigation training, radar, radio technology, and of course flight schools. These are shot glasses from all of these trainings. This one is from 35 to 37. And then, of course, as I said, he was promoted in 1939 to be a major and became the attaché to Czechoslovakia because he actually spoke Czech and German, so he was the logical choice. So this is March of 1939, and we know that the Sudetenland, Czechoslovakia, was annexed by Hitler in May of 39. So it was only a couple months later that this was annexed by Germany. Not this. This was not annexed. The country of Czechoslovakia was annexed. So it was, he evidently showed a lot of promise because they kept promoting him, and they eventually put him in charge of the Luftwaffe throughout the Bohemian and Moravian areas of Czechoslovakia. So he was really a part of the leadership in the Luftwaffe, and actually he was under the direct leadership of Reinhard Heydrich, which of course was an infamous Nazi, also known as the Butcher of Bohemia, and he was later assassinated, I believe, in Prague. But it was in 1940 that while he's now based in France, that he's flying missions to Britain, and early on, before they started bombing cities, they actually were bombing all the air bases. So some of this I actually just have to read because some of this history I'm not familiar with, but of course we all know about the Battle of Britain. Early on, they were bombing the Air Force bases, trying to wipe out the Air Force. He flew a Junker 88 bomber. Here's a picture of his aircraft. And it was on this particular day that he was to bomb the Air Force Base in Manston, England. Some of you from England probably know exactly where that was. And at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, as he was going across the English Channel, he was shot down by the Royal Air Force. And that was a British Defiant, and was piloted by Banham and Baker. They shot down his craft, he and his crew. And later on, his body was washed ashore, and he was buried in Belgium. Actually, his body and the body of his co-pilot eventually washed ashore, and here you can see his grave. He died in 1940 during the Battle of Britain. So this was, it's just an amazing piece of history. This was his personal possession, not sure how it came to the United States, along with the shot glasses from all the different training camps he went to. One has to wonder if he had a shot from one of these the night before his mission. Okay, so a little bit of history, especially interesting to those of you in England and in Germany to see artifacts from that particular time of the war in 1940. But now let's jump into some guns, because after all, that's why you guys are really here. You wanted to see some guns. Some of them, I'm going to spend some time on some Nambus, which we haven't talked much about, but I want to just show you really quickly some guns that came in, just that I found interesting. This first one, which is a PPK, I'm going to move a little bit closer. This actually falls in the serial range for the SS guns, and it's a little known variation, but I'm going to be working on a book about the SS variations. You can see that it is serial numbered on the slide and also the frame. And normally it would come with 2 matching mags. Now this one does not have a matching mag, but it does have an SS mag. This SS mag would correspond with the muzzle number variation. So this is an SS magazine, not numbered to this gun, but this is a SS issued gun. And if you want to know how I know it's SS, you'll have to wait until the book comes out. That's called a teaser. The next one, also a PPK I want to show you. This one's interesting because this one falls actually in that serial range is Luftwaffe. It's a Luftwaffe contract. Eagle end proof, so it's after 1939. I believe this gun is about 1940 or 41, still has the high polished finish. And you see the Waffen proofs. And on a Luftwaffe contract, it would be numbered, serial numbered, 2 magazines numbered on the bottom. Now, in this case, the bottom matches the serial number of the gun. So again, Luftwaffe is bottom numbered. Most of the SS guns are spine numbered right here. So this is a Luftwaffe contract and therefore a very desirable gun. Let me show you another gun that came in this week. This is a really nice Walther PP. It has, I thought it would be an AK holster, but it looks like an AK style holster, but not AK marked. But when I open it up, you can see how nice and clean it is. And again, I have my trusty dirty rag. You guys know about my dirty rag. This one comes in 9mm. Condition is very, very nice. This one has crown end proofs, so it's pre-1939. And the one thing about the 9mm that you'll notice, it does not have the push button mag release, but instead has a bottom mag release. And that is true of almost all of the 9mm. They were the only ones, other than special contracts. Like a P38, actually, you pull this lever back and this pops out pretty easily. So 9mm mag, 9mm PP. Very rare gun. There's probably only about 1% of the PPs were made in 9mm. This PPK is worthy of a gander because it's police. Now, there's nothing remarkable about the holster. It's early because it has the brass fitting. Later, they went to an aluminum fitting. Let me see. Oh, here's one. Actually, when I showed you the SS gun, this would be an SS holster because the SS holsters, this one is AK marked, beautiful condition, PPK, black in near mint condition, black stitching and black leather would be proper for an SS gun. This would go with that SS PPK, and you can see that it has an aluminum fitting. They were also painted black, but that comes off pretty quickly. You can see some of the paint here. The earlier ones had a brass stud. And so when I open this up, it's actually a police gun. And what makes this police is the Eagle C. So the Eagle C is a police inspection proof, basically accepted for the police. Now a gun of this size in .32 caliber would be mostly for detectives, that level of a higher level of police officer, not your street cop, but rather a detective or a plainclothes policeman. And then, of course, we know from the SS that they also went to the Gestapo and the criminal police and the security police. So basically, higher level officers and security people. Now, what's unusual about this one is it is crown end proofed. This particular gun was probably made in about 1938 or early 39. And being a police-issued Eagle C in Crown End is very, very rare. They only made a couple thousand. So probably about 95% of the Eagle C guns, 95% of the Eagle C guns are later Eagle N. And somebody recently said, do you ever see a Crown N police gun? Here's one right here, came in this holster. So this is kind of a rare find, something that I think one of our viewers might be interested in. Okay, one more I want to show you before I get to the Nambus. Don't turn me off when I get to the Nambus. I regularly comment about people not liking the antiques, and people also are not thrilled with the Nambus. But you're going to learn something, so stay tuned for the Nambus. But finally, I have this Radom, also better known in Europe as a Viz. And my Polish friends always write to me and say, congratulations, you finally got the name right. Viz is written right here. That's the name of this variation. FB is the factory initials. Factory initials and the Viz, which I think means strength or courage, something like that. I'm sure somebody will write that in the comments. This is a particularly nice Radom. It comes with this beautiful holster and 2 magazines, one in the gun and one here in the side pouch. This is BNZ marked, which is the Steyr factory. And probably, I can't read the date, but it's probably about 1943 or 1944. Just from the construction, I can tell it's a late war. And then the magazine is Waffen stamped. It is Waffen proofed. I believe it's also Steyr. Yeah, it's a Steyr magazine. But the gun is an early Nazi proofed. I'm going to wipe it down, get the fingerprints off of it. But you'll see the Radom is actually the town where the factory was located. You see the Eagle 77, that's a Nazi proof. And so this one was early, probably about 1941. It's got a beautiful high polished finish. And you can see that it was slotted for the stock. By this time, they were not issuing them with stocks. And so they very quickly stopped using the stock. But this one is in the B block, so it's early variation. They stopped putting the stock lug in probably about the D or E block. But if you look at this one, the grip straps, just a beautiful example of a Nazi-proofed Radom, Viz, excuse me. I can't help myself because, as I've said in the other videos, in the United States, everybody calls it a Radom, but it was the Radom is the town and Viz is the model. Beautiful gun, will be likely going up on the website. Okay, so now it's time to talk about some Nambus that came in that I found pretty interesting. First of all, some Type 14s. Those are the most common Japanese pistols, sidearms. They made about 400,000 of them, which was a high number for pistols in the Japanese Army. But compared to other armies, such as German and Americans, they made over 1 million sidearms for their troops. So they didn't have a whole lot of sidearms that were issued. 400,000 is a relatively small number. You can see immediately this is made of leather in an earlier model. This is a rubberized canvas and much later war. So just looking at the holsters alone, this is very stiff and brittle. It's a lot like the German holsters where they made them out of paper. This is made out of a canvas that is rubberized, that almost like a glued together. Makes for a very stiff holster. And this is in incredible condition compared to most we see. But again, just look how, yeah, I can't even bend that. That's just, that just has hardened over the years. So it doesn't hold up real well. And then there is a little bit of writing here. This again, actually this opens better than most. Usually you only get it up a little ways. And then there would be ammo in here typically. Let me show you the ammo, hold on. This is a box of original Japanese ammunition, 8mm for the Nambu. There's actually 10 rounds in there. And we're going to learn about dating these pistols, but again, not online dating. This is dating. Look at the bottom line there. It has 14.2. Now, those of you who collect Japanese items, The .2 is the month, so that's February. Second month of 14. 14, you add 25. The year of the emperor, Hirohito, started in 1925. So 14 is 14 years into his reign, and you add those together and you get 1939. So February of 1939. This is very unusual. When I see boxes of ammo, they're almost always late war boxes of ammo that were captured on islands and brought back. For this box of ammunition to be available from 1939 is quite unique. This actually also comes with a spare firing pin, which is very unusual. If you look at pistols, they don't often come with a firing pin. And that's because I think I've mentioned before as I pull this one out. This is late war. It's very stiff. It doesn't open up. I'd have to like pry it open. Very stiff. There we go. Not good to keep the gun in there. Let me get my rag. You can see this one is in beautiful condition, and probably I should not store it in that holster, but there's the grip strap. Very little wear, and you can see that symbol means it was made in the Nagoya factory with the serial number. And then underneath the serial number, you see 19.4. So that would be March of 44. So this is a late war gun. Now you'll notice the large trigger guard, and that was because they made them larger because when they wore gloves in winter campaigns, and the earlier ones, might as well show you that. Hold on. Here we go. This one is the earlier one. That's the regular size trigger guard when they first made them. And then they made the large trigger guard starting in about 42, 43. So this is a Nambu from 1944. You likely won't be able to see that, but as I look at it, it is not a matching mag. Now notice the blued tube. I'm going to show you in the earlier one they had nickel tubes. So this does not have a matching mag. If we look inside the holster, not only does it have a spare firing pin, but you can see inside here there is a cleaning rod. Notice it's blued, late war, and the spare magazine fits down inside there. So there's not a pouch like you have with other pistols, other armies. This fits in here, and then the gun goes in here. So this comes with, I'm not going to do it because again it'll scratch it up and it's pretty stiff. So this is the original holster, gun with spare magazine, cleaning rod, and a spare firing pin. Oh, what I wanted to say is if you ever buy one of these, check the firing pin. I find about 30% of them, the tips are broken off. So let me give you a quick lesson on checking the firing pin, okay? I'm going to pull this back, stays cocked, push this button in, and then unscrew the knob. When I unscrew the knob, firing pin comes out, and that one is good. It's also numbered. It'll be numbered to the gun. This late war one is blank, which is not unusual. The earlier ones, they'll be numbered right here. And that is what the tip should look like. But again, I've seen a lot of them where they've just broken off, which is why they added an additional firing pin for when this one broke. It was actually not a very good design for a firing pin. Okay, now let's take a look at the earlier one. I'm doing this in reverse order. I guess a lot of people say start with the earlier one and then look at the later one, but we started with the late one. You saw that canvas holster. This is leather, and it's very fine workmanship. This is a brass fitting. Verdigris. That was another video. I said, what's that stuff called? The green corrosion around there, verdigris. We open it up and we actually get some interesting writing. And then somebody wrote in English their name. It could be Bowman or it's definitely something Min. But there's some Japanese writing. This one did not come with an additional firing pin, but it does have an additional magazine and the cleaning rod. So cleaning rod, additional magazine. You'll notice this one has, I mentioned the brass fittings. Earlier than this, they actually did a really shiny nickeled fittings. Let me show you one of the really early ones. So this holster is even earlier than this one, and it's because you can see it has the shiny nickel fittings, which are, again, all of these changes were made to reduce costs. They went from the nickeled fittings in a nice leather to this these brass fittings. By the way, the straps being included is pretty unusual because, again, they easily broke, and soldiers often would just bring them back like this in their duffel bag. And from there, they went to, of course, the rubberized with just a metal painted black fitting. So on this gun, you can see the finish is a much more of a high polish finish. Also, the cocking knob in the back was changed. This is the late one. I happen to have pulled this off. By the way, it's numbered here on the back, and that matches the gun. Same thing with this. Notice the small trigger guard. You pull it back, it stays back. The bolt is numbered and the knob is numbered, and I can check the firing pin by unscrewing this. Now it will slam forward when I take the magazine out. It's often tough to do, but that's how the gun is then charged and ready to fire. So the other thing I wanted to show you is the magazine. Push the mag release button, and you can see it is a nickeled tube. So again, much like Luger's, by the way, Luger's had the nickeled tubes up to about 1936, and then they went to a blued tube in order to cut costs, and the Japanese did the exact same thing. So one of the reasons I wanted to show you this particular Nambu is because it came with a captured document. Now, in the European theater, the captured documents were not rare. They're still kind of hard to find, and they do add to the value. But in the Japanese theater, a lot of these guns that came back from different islands and different campaigns, and even from Japan itself, nobody seemed to bother with capture papers, but in this case, it did come back with a captured document, and this is extremely rare. You can see the serial number of the gun coincides with the serial number of the gun. So on this one, you can see this is March of 1936. And this is the captured document. So this is a very high condition pistol with a really nice capture document. Okay, that brings us to just one more Nambu I wanted to show you, and that is the Type 94. Now this is a storied gun. People tell a lot of stories about this gun, and I'll tell a few. The quest to make this gun, which is smaller than the Type 14. So the Nambu Type 14 was first produced in about 1927, and they made them all the way to the end of the war, of course, 1945. Actually, I've seen guns all the way up to August of 1945 when the surrender happened. The Type 14 was always considered to be a little bit large for like an officer's pistol, or for a pilot, or for a tanker, somebody who's in confined space. So they sought a design for a smaller pistol that could function as a sidearm. And in 1935, they adopted the Type 94. This is what the Type 94 looks like. This is a rare lanyard that came with it. And I should say so officers might carry this, pilots might carry this, but when it comes to officers' guns, they actually preferred, I brought this along. This is something we already had on the site. This is a Japanese holster, but with a 1910 FN. So the significance of this is the Japanese officers had to purchase their own weapons. And I'm told that the Nambu actually cost more than they could buy these for. And so these became very popular, other guns as well. The FN Browning pistol, especially the 1910, was very popular with the Japanese officers for reliability reasons, because they were a little cheaper, which is hard to imagine. And there's no marking on here that would tell you that it went to the Japanese, except for the fact it came with a holster, which is a Japanese-made holster. So we assume this is a Japanese officer's rig that was captured during the war. This is what it looks like on the back and the front. And coincidentally, talk about officers' pistols, even more popular was the baby Nambu. You notice the holster is almost exactly the same as the baby Nambu. Baby Nambu. But again, they only made a few thousand of these, and these were a lot more expensive. So they preferred a German weapon, and they would purchase their own. But let's get back to the Type 94, because these were supposed to take the place of the other officers' pistols. And again, this is a Nambu design. Now, the reason this is storied is because were rumored to be very poorly made. There's a lot on the internet, and there's YouTube videos that don't shoot it, it'll explode in your hand, it goes off accidentally, and it actually is called a suicide gun, not because people committed suicide with them, but if you shoot them, you're liable to you have a good chance of killing yourself. That's certainly exaggerated, but I wanted to show you how it got its reputation. And by the way, the bad reputation came from Japanese officers. Now, I'm sure that they cannot badmouth their own issued guns. So it was pretty much just rumored about that they didn't prefer these guns. Let me show you real quickly the crux of the problem. So again, this is going into a small area. This is the trigger sear, and it's bigger than on most guns. So many guns have a similar design, but this sear bar is a lot smaller. On this gun, it's fairly large, and it's externally easy to bump into or to hit. You can see how you can just press in and activate the trigger bar. So if I cock this, it's charged. I don't want to hit it with anything that's going to make a mark. So using this pen, let's say I'm in a tank or an airplane and I bump into something. Let's do that again. It basically fires the weapon when you push on the end of the trigger bar. It fires. So people would shoot themselves in the leg or accidentally discharge their weapon while they were cleaning it. By the way, I didn't mention before, I showed you some original ammunition, but this comes in 8mm. It's not considered a powerful load. So it didn't have a lot of stopping power, but again, issued to a lot of officers. Now, this one in particular came with this, which again, I find really cool. This is obviously kanji. Came with this. I have no idea. Well, they came together, but I personally did not talk to the person who captured this. It has Colonel Maeda on there and Imperial Japanese Navy. So this was a naval officer who carried this. Also, they talk about the rumor that it was used by pilots. That's not a rumor, that's a fact. There were several pilots that were shot down at Pearl Harbor, and since then. But in particular, the first Japanese soldier to be killed by small arms fire was a Japanese pilot who was carrying one of these. I saw it on the History Channel, was watching a show, and they talked about how this Japanese pilot was shot down. He actually crash landed his plane right at the surf, came to land in Honolulu, and he evaded capture for a while, but finally the Army caught up to him and had him surrounded, and he either shot himself or was shot, but he was using this pistol rather than surrender. He chose to commit suicide by either letting them shoot him with guns drawn or he shot himself. But either way, he died rather than be captured, and he was carrying a Type 94. There are other incidences where pilots were captured with these guns. Now, another interesting thing about this gun, I mentioned before, the lanyard is very rare. It comes with this beautiful holster with the original straps. This is almost unissued condition. Let's date this one. This one is 12/12, so December of 37. That's how quick my math is. I hope I'm right. If I'm not, you guys will correct me. So 37, that's pretty early. You'll notice the finish is high polish. Now, if you look at a later one, I'm not going to show you one, but I'm sure we've had them on the website. Maybe Randy can find you one. But they'll have wooden grips. They do away with the plastic. They go with wooden grips, and they have a very crude finish to them. And again, they come with nickeled. The early ones would be nickeled, and then later they went to a cheaper blued magazine. And this gun, it does have a pouch. Unlike the Type 14, it does have a pouch. Should show you the Japanese writing because I often have Japanese people who will interpret that for me. And you can feel free to comment. And also what's important is this comes with 2 matching magazines. Again, very, very rare. 2 magazines that will match the number, serial number on the gun. So overall, a very nice 2-match mag rig with some documentation to indicate it was issued to a Japanese naval officer. Hey, I was just about to do my wrap up, and literally while we were filming, some guy came and said, hey, look what just walked in the door. Come with me, check this out. Never saw one of these before. Come on. Okay, have you ever seen one of these? An M2 flamethrower. This is from World War II, but likely modified for the Korean War. Oxygen tank is missing, but this is just a teaser. I don't know much about it. We'll research it a little bit, and we'll put it on the website. This little brass plate here might give you a little more information. It's camouflage just because you can't see them coming with the flame, so they put camouflage so you can't see them. So we'll find out a little bit more about this, and it'll show up on our website. Not the kind of stuff that we normally would carry. They are very rare because most of them were destroyed at the end of the war. And the question would be, how the heck did somebody bring this home? It wouldn't fit in their duffel bag. You know what? We should probably try it out in the backyard, and so stay tuned and we'll bring that video to you. Hey, thanks for watching. A little bit of everything today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and congratulations to our lucky winners of the puzzles. And if you wanted to buy one, don't forget, legacyyoutube.com will have them for sale on the website.